feel like New Hampshire and Maine, and they always have it.
Yeah, Lauren's from Maine, so it's cold.
She's probably had a white Christmas.
Yeah, she probably has. Well, she went to college in Canada, high school in Australia, so maybe not. I'm
Australia.
Yeah, I know.
We got a lot to dig into.
I know. I do.
So, so Javi, there's so many things to unpack. Mm-hmm. We started unpacking a little bit. Who are you, dude?
So, Javi, stationed here in Dover, Delaware.
Air Force. Thank you for your service, my friend.
Appreciate it. Been in the Air Force for going on 11 years. Did reality TV for 8-9 years. Kind of tied into that. Got 2 boys, a fiance, and life is good. Life is good, man.
You missed owner of a CrossFit company there for
right.
a little bit.
Yeah. Opened up a CrossFit gym in 2019. Mm-hmm. And I ended up selling that with COVID and all that happened. I ended up selling that back in 2021. Okay. But it was a blessing in disguise, so I cannot complain. I appreciate you having me, man.
Dude, absolutely.
When you get the opportunity to be around greatness, you got to take it. So I appreciate
chill. The feeling is mutual. Thank you for the kind words. And we've had a podcast before. This is our second round.
Yeah, this is so. Hopefully, this one's a little bit more the energy. I didn't know what to take in. I was in uniform, so I was like, oh, now it's relaxed. We got to know each other over time.
Yep.
Got to work with your dad for a little bit. So.
Kids go to the same little school.
Yeah.
Actually, y'all still have him there? Or
yeah, he's still there. They're just different classes.
Different classes. Gotcha. She was saying something about that the other day because Aubrey and him and a few others is just like the main crew. They all got split up this year, so she's had to make new friends. But now she's good. That's what I love about the little school. I'll rave on that.
Yeah. I love the little school.
Kids Cottage Little School is the spot. But I want to dig into what you'd said as. I don't think many people have reality TV show as a piece of their resume.
Yeah. And
during our last interview, I had no clue about this. You were on MTV.
Yeah.
What got you into that world?
Yeah. So that's something I really talk about. I don't want people to. I don't know if cocky is the right word. Like I don't want to come off like cocky. Oh yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah. Maybe it's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. So that world is interesting. Started when I was 19. Met my older son's mother, and we kind of hit it off, and that's kind of what tied me into it. And it opened so many doors. You got cameras. It's not like a Jersey Shore type of show where it's 24/7, where cameras are 24/7. Okay. So these type of reality TV shows, they come to Delaware every 2 weeks or so. Say, hey, we're gonna be there for 4 days. What you got going on? Let's film and. Mm-hmm. That's what they do. You give them the schedule. Hey, this is what we got. We got a birthday party or we got a soccer game, anything like that. Okay. And then they work their magic of clearing all the places we want to go to and kind of just film your life and you got to talk about it. The only downside with them not being 24/7 is when they miss important stuff. So my divorce was on there. So obviously they're not there 24/7. So a lot of the stuff they're not here filming. So when they do come film, we either have to retell the story, which usually re-engages an argument, or you just kind of not fake the scene, but you just got to reenact it in a way, which again, it re-engages the argument. So you're kind of living in it twice, and then you got to see it on TV. So you're living in it 3 times because that's usually going to spark another argument. So a lot of bad times. I don't know bad times, but my divorce was on there. So things I regret now being older, I'm about to be 31. So looking back on it, I wish I would have handled things differently. But I was in my mid-20s, so I showed myself a little bit of grace there. I was a young kid coming up in TV and not knowing what to expect and not knowing it would be where it is now. I feel like now Teen Mom and the Jersey Shore and Ridiculousness are primarily the 3 shows that are holding up MTV. That are,
Rob Dyrdek runs MTV.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
Have you heard his stuff? He's got a whole podcast now.
Yeah, no, I listened to him talking.
He's so smart.
He is a genius. He is a genius.
Him and Dane Cook are 2 people that I now listen to their business and life advice. And I'm like, yo, if you told me Rob Dyrdek and Dane Cook were going to give me life advice 10 years ago.
Yeah. No, I believe it. I listened to how all that ridiculousness stuff happened and all that.
His time management. He's a robot. A beautiful robot.
Yeah, seriously.
So you said 19? Mm-hmm. What got to hit you up and say, hey, we want you to be on the show? How'd that transpire?
So my son's mom was already on it. I was 16 and pregnant. And then we met at the mall in the Lehigh Valley, good old Lehigh Valley Mall.
Hell yeah.
She worked at a retail store, and I went in there, and we met, and we talked. And then, we got together eventually, and that's kind of how it works. So we were in a relationship. So they're like, oh, we're going to follow this new exciting relationship. Young kids. And then we ended up getting married in... Put me on the spot. When did we get married? I enlisted in 2012. So 2012, September 2012.
Gotcha.
So we ended up getting married, and then, we had our 10-year-old, we had our boy, and then divorced in 2016. So quite the roller coaster, right? So as these cameras are following this your life, you're just going up. I joined the military, and then we got that. So many emotions that I don't even think I knew how to handle at the time. So looking back on it, it's definitely a cool experience. You can talk about it and share your life. So it was different.
How do you see, like, obviously you jumped in there at a young age. This is we talked about this before, 2009?
Yes, 2009 or 2011.
2011
yep.
was when you guys started. So we're just getting into social media. How does a reality show like that affect your real life?
So I think at the time you said social media. So Twitter was like just started, and then Instagram came up. So the show was really on its uprise when Instagram came up. But it's not like an Instagram like it is today, where you see TikTok and all the viral videos and this and that. It wasn't like that. I think it was more kind of like any new app. Hey, we're trying to navigate what this is. Let's see if it gets, get the ball rolling uphill. And I think it was, and all the followers came in and all that stuff. But it wasn't as far as, oh, you got to be careful what you do because you're going to go viral or stuff like that. It was,
you're getting stuff canceled.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it wasn't. Yeah, you weren't getting canceled back then. So I think I've always had a pretty good balance of, hey, you got to be able to turn it off. And really it wasn't until I met Lauren where she kind of just put a new perspective. Like, people, sometimes I would not get annoyed, but depending on what I'm doing, if you interrupt me and have a conversation or try and say, hey, can we get a picture with you? Or if I'm in the middle of something, I'll still say yeah, but I'm kind of in like an annoying tone. And she kind of really brought me back down. And she's like, hey, they're taking the time out to come, they watch your show or they know who you are, and just kind of be kind back. And that's kind of what I live by. I just want to be nice to people. And, hey, I really appreciate you watching the show or recognizing Lincoln or anything like that. People are just nice, and I truly do enjoy now. It could be age thing too. As I got older, it's like, hey, I really appreciate it. But I think I've always done a good job of balancing the two of what's real life and what's the TV show type.
And a lot of people don't.
Yeah, and especially now that it's on Netflix, people are seeing
that's crazy
19, 20-year-old Javi, and just not knowing that I'm about to be 31, and like, I've just evolved over the years and changed, different mindset, different, just personality and all that. So
over time, they're not even gonna be able to recognize you.
Yeah, I mean, if Netflix is the first time you're watching this series or this franchise, like,
I'm gonna have to watch it.
Oh, jeez,
I'm gonna have to watch it, man. I'm not a reality show guy too heavy. Like, I think Survivor is really the last time I dipped into that, like 12 years. Is that still going?
I don't know.
Sean, can you pull that up? Is Survivor still going? Because I legit remember watching that when I was 6 or 7 years old. But back on the reality TV side, like, when you got on the Netflix. Was there a shift? Because like you said, it was originally 16 and Pregnant. What was that on before it was on MTV?
MTV.
Was it on MTV the whole time?
It was on MTV the whole time. So 16 and Pregnant it's 10 girls, that are having a baby, and then they took the 4 girls that had the best ratings and put them on Teen Mom. So it was just like a different.
Got you.
Same umbrella, just different.
They like you more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely. Did you guys get factored into that? The 45 seasons.
Oh, it's still going.
Oh my gosh. I wasn't 8, I was 7 when that came out. Jeez. December 20th. Wait, that's not even here yet.
New episode, so it's still on. Yep.
Good Lord. Good for them.
Yeah.
They got a formula that works. Is there any other... Let's see, that's a season 42. Either way, that's incredible. Is there any other show that's been on longer than that? Especially a reality TV show. Also love that Yahoo is our sponsored search engine right now. We got to fix that too. What's the reality for you now though? Like, what was so my real question was, like, from MTV originally had the show that in 2012 I feel was kind of, it wasn't the MTV of 2004.
Right.
How have you seen a difference, if any, to when the show got released on Netflix?
So I think in 2012, cable was still a big thing. I feel like back in 2012. So all these streaming services didn't come on board.
Absolutely.
A couple years in. So I think a lot of people still watch cable, and it was at its peak. Netflix, like I was telling earlier, we don't see. I mean, I stopped filming in 2021.
Oh, you were filming all up until 2021?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It wasn't, and my son's mom, she still did. I think about a year or two after I said, "Hey, I'm done. I think it's time to."
Wow. So really recently for both of y'all.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Netflix, I don't really see the statistics or the residuals or anything like that. If anything, I'll see a couple DMs where like they're bringing up things that happened in 10 years ago or 8 years ago.
What do people say? They're like, "You asshole." You did
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh.
Are you
man.
for real?
Yeah, I mean, I was mean when I was going through my divorce. I was mean.
Okay. Do you rewatch those?
No, I don't. I don't.
Good.
I mean, I
Good.
saw them.
That's healthy.
When they came out back in 2015, 2016, and stuff like that. But Netflix, I don't watch that stuff, man. I was young, and like I said, I've learned those emotions, and I wish I would have handled it differently. Just for the sake of my son, he's gonna watch this at some point, and he gets recognized probably more than I do out in public.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of.
How's that? Oh, well,
It's just like because they saw him from birth, and then all the way up until 2022. He's 10 now.
Wow.
So they're
That's
like,
so
oh, that's
interesting.
Lincoln. Yeah.
How do you think that'll affect you, like as a dad? Like you have different roles now because now you're kind of protecting a little bit.
That entitlement, not so much entitlement. That's
Yeah, man, I hear you.
Yeah, I think at that age, I think for him, it's innocent. He thinks he's cool,
Yeah.
and like his friends know he's on TV, and he's like, oh, like his mom made him an Instagram account, so he's like, oh, I got X amount of followers. I was like, yeah, but you're not going to see that until you're 18, and who knows where Instagram's going to be at that point. So I think
18's the age for you.
Yeah, he had a phone recently. We gave him a phone, and he was not doing what he was supposed to. So I said, you're not old enough to understand just consequences of what's being said. Yeah. So we took that away. I said, don't ask me. You're not getting it until we'll re-engage the conversation in 8th grade and before you go to high school. So I think, and I don't know if entitlement's the right word, but I think it's just keeping them just level and humble. You got to work for what you get. Like, it's not just going to be handed to you. And like, we were blessed with opportunities, and you're blessed with opportunities to do pretty cool things. So being on TV, has its cons, but it also opened up so many cool opportunities for me to do and take him with me. A lot of cool events that he's been to and met a lot of cool people. So I think it's just keeping him grounded and keeping him level is what we're working on now.
Yeah, and understanding how difficult is it walking into a world where you have any form of privilege in any way, shape, or form. It's tough to be grateful for that.
Yeah.
When you've never experienced anything worse or anything different.
Yeah, because you could tell, oh man, listen, I didn't have this growing up, and they don't know anything else. And Lincoln's at the age where he's 10 now, and he's too cool for school type of attitude. So you really, hey, listen, I'm still your dad, and this is what we're gonna instill on you. And luckily, all parents involved, me, Lauren, Kaylin, her partner, we're all pretty much always on the same page as far as raising him. And hey, this is what we're gonna instill. So I think that makes it easier when everybody's on the same page.
Absolutely. Have you like gone through the thought process of if there's going to be some spin-off show of where are they at now? Like,
even if there is, man, we don't want to be on it. For like I said,
and you would advise him the same, you think? Like if like 18 they hit him up like, hey, we want to do a spin-off. Like,
I think I'd leave it up to him, honestly. I feel like at one point, he's gonna be able to look back on Netflix or anything like that and see how me and his mom's divorce played out. So, we'll probably have a conversation with him as he gets older and can really understand what went down. But I'll support him. It's a different world. You've got to be able to navigate it. And as social media grows and all these viral videos, it's a different world now.
It is a different world
than what we did when we started it.
I think a lot of people in this different world are going to be in your position more often than just when you're on an MTV show now, because people are putting everything online.
Yeah, I mean, you can get noticed. Just a regular Joe Schmo can just really make an awesome video out there and really get noticed and really make it big. You didn't have those opportunities. You really had to be part of the MTV, the VH1 networks to even to make it, really.
Yeah, musical artists,
actor. There's so many just brilliant people out there, man. And I love to see it. I love how social media is evolving. I love seeing all these creative, intelligent, smart people of just making it out there, man. Good for them. I'm happy for them.
It's incredible. The world that we're creating today, I kind of see it playing out though, kind of how you are, where okay, at some point I'm going to have to sit down and have a conversation about, hey, you know, my life was documented and you saw the highs and the lows. How many people are oversharing today, you know, with their 4-year-old at the house and, you know, 10 years from now when they get a phone, you know, they're going to look up your old shit. Yeah. What were mom and dad doing back in 2020?
Yeah.
You know, sure. And I'm still so weird about the future of social media, the future of, you know, when it inevitably integrates with like an AI, and just even with putting our kids out on social media, you don't really have a choice at this point, but it's just, I don't know. What do you think, like with social media and everything like that? Would you even entertain it if you weren't in the position you were in?
I don't know, because I'm bad at social media, just keeping up to day-to-day content and just posting. I'm more living the moment now. Lauren really is just like, hey, you know, this company wants to do sponsorship with you, and so I got to keep up. And that's always the hardest for me, right? So like all these companies reach out and, hey, this is what we want. I'm like, okay, cool, let's do it. And then when it comes down to it, I'm like, oh crap, I forgot to film or stuff like that. I forgot to post. I don't think so, honestly. It's just, I'm really just, like I said, just bad at social media. I really live in the moment. I'm just not good at creating. I don't think I'm a creative person as far as just those creative videos.
No, you can't get to where you're at in life and create and run a business and run a like you're running a successful life. You got to be pretty damn creative to make your way through this life.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's a good point. Yeah. Well, I watch your videos and I'm like, man, you really motivate. Like I tell you off camera, like, man, you look awesome. What you're doing here is like, it's great. The building looks amazing. This setup itself is amazing, man. So, you know, I don't think people give each other flowers often. And for you, man, I'm super proud of you, man. You should. Hopefully, you're proud of yourself and the team you've built here. Your dad is amazing. Your dad is the man. So, just giving you flowers, man. You deserve it.
Helps you get to your home, and I appreciate the kind words, bro. And it's replace the word "you" with "we," because I mean, there's just so many people. I mean, guy behind me, Sean, is running the show currently as we literally speak. As he stands literally behind. I didn't know you were standing literally behind me. And just like you said, the team, like bringing on my pops 2 years into starting this, and now we have the team with 13 producing agents. I mean, there's showings and listing appointments and offers being written and calls being had right now that if that didn't happen and we didn't have this amazing team, I couldn't sit down and even have this conversation. So everything at this point is team, and I'm so thankful for it. You're right. And
shout out to Loft.
Shout out Loft. We can do that all day.
Yes.
But for you, what's been your experience with Loft? Because you bought a house with us, right?
Yeah. Well, I was in the process. So I'm not going to say names, but we had bad experiences with realtors, and then I was like, all right, man, let me hit up Zach and see what he can do for me. And that's when you introduced me with your dad. Yeah, pops. And class act. I can't say enough about
100%.
Just the attentiveness, anytime we needed something, he would make it happen. He genuinely cares, and I think that's what we fell in love with him for. And experience with Loft has been great. We'll never go anywhere else. So when we decide that it's time for an upgrade, we already know, we're gonna hit up you and your dad, and hey, it's time. So we're looking forward to that day.
Man, when that gets cut into a clip and sent to my pops, he's gonna be so happy.
Shout out Jeff Foust. He's the man.
Shout out Pops. Yes, he is the man. And with y'all, I mean, y'all had a list for y'all.
Lauren is the pickiest person in the world. Like it had to be a shiny penny, a hidden gem to even be to go look at it.
Be looked at.
Yeah, to even be looked at it.
But it's a big purchase. Yeah. Like I can't stand, and I won't sit here and ever talk shit, name names, but there are just so many people in this industry that don't take into consideration how big that move is. Yeah. Like, remember when you bought your first home, sold your first home, like that's a humongous investment. So much is going into that decision financially, location, for the school, for the jobs, for future, for is this the right equity decision? And there's so many people in this industry that just, and don't get back to the calls and don't make...
It's a big trust that you're putting into the realtor that you decide to choose. And that's kind of what happened to us. We went with ex-realtor and they missed something on the contract, so it tied us down to the house, the first one we saw with your dad. And we didn't catch it until we put down the offer, and they're like, "Oh, you can't because this over here is messed up." We're like, "Oh," we were so upset.
And everyone's human.
Yeah.
I've made mistakes.
Absolutely,
I've missed things on contracts and had to swallow the frog and be like, yeah, I fucked up. I missed this one. But, mistakes, I feel, are either they're either a place where you can just remain and just accept, or you use it to harden yourself to be like, I'm never going to make this mistake again.
Yeah.
And I feel there's just so many people in this industry. They're just like, okay with not getting back to people, okay with not prioritizing the client schedule, okay with just not putting into consideration how big a deal this is.
Yeah, absolutely. And today's market's hard, man. I watch all this stuff going on, and today's market is tough.
What do you know? What do you know about it?
I know pretty much everything. Interest rates are high. Not a time to buy a house. Our mortgage, you're looking at it almost triple than what we did when we bought our first house. I think Lauren's house, she has like a 2-something rate. So that's really everything you see online. Interest rates are high. Rate. Yeah, houses are expensive.
2% rates will be studied in college one day as like a historical artifact.
Really. And my buddy's a realtor up in Allentown, Pennsylvania. And he tells me all the hard stories, and it's tough out there, man. And so what you guys do, and I tell him to kind of do, I send him some of your videos. I'm like, look, man, you got to be creative. You got to think outside the box. You got to really just put yourself out there. Social media is a big help. I know my house sold. Some lady from Jersey came and made a video on social media, and someone from Jersey bought it. So you just got to think outside the box and what you're doing, man. It's brilliant. I love them. They're intriguing. I watch your videos all the time.
Dude, you're the man. But why aren't you? Y'all need to make content. I would sit and watch what's Javi doing today. I'd watch the day in the life.
Lauren gets on me all the time. We talk about it almost weekly. I was like, hey, we thought about like starting a YouTube channel. There's so many good things, and we're like,
well, why not hire someone? Like you're used to being on camera.
Yeah.
You're used to being mic'd up and speaking in front like with somebody with a camera in your face. You've kind of lived that. Maybe you don't adapt and pick up the phone and put it in front of your face, and you just hire someone to do what you're used to.
Yeah, that could be a thing. I think maybe I'm just
once a week they come through.
Yeah,
like, what's going on? Like,
I'm truly at peace with my life, man. I went through
that.
so much, and I'm truly at peace. And I think that's why it's just like, man, listen, we're good financially. We're good. We got dual income. The kids are thriving, and maybe it's good to not have cameras in their face all the time. We're at peace, man. And I know me personally. I think that's why it's so hard for me to do all the make a YouTube channel or just be out there more. I like where I'm at in my life.
I love that. Yeah. Is that where you're resting yourself on that choice right there? Because it sounds like you're a little conflicted. Like you still get.
Because I do go back for it. It's an opportunity. It goes back to. So like when they reached out to us to do another show, right? It's obviously a conversation we have. The money.
And what was the other show? Was it? It's like
it was the same Teen Mom concept, but just a different plot or a different storyline.
Were they coming out to Delaware?
No, they wanted us to go out to a different country. They didn't really give us much detail. They said, "Look, man, we got this show coming up. We want you and Lauren to be part of it."
Country,
yeah,
but no
like, we can't tell you. You need a passport. We can't tell you where we're going. You need a passport.
What?
And that's pretty much all they tell you.
Nah,
and
that would have been
crazy.
Yeah.
I'm 31. I'm not an 18-year-old kid anymore where I'm like, yeah, I'm all in. Like, send me wherever. I'm saying, look, I got 2 kids. We got to plan babysitter. We got to do this. And at the time, it was conflicted. We had a wedding in Italy. Mm-hmm. So it was even harder. We're like, no, man, I got a wedding in Italy. I'm not missing it. And then they were so adamant about bringing us out there. And they're like, look, we'll fly you from Italy here, and then you'll go home. And I'm like, well, then who's going to watch my kids, the dogs? And they literally threw the kitchen sink and were like, hey, man, we'll cover all that. We got this. They had a whole plan. And then at some point I kept saying no. I was like, look, man, it's not worth it. The money isn't worth it. It's worth a conversation with Lauren. We talked about it, and it wasn't worth it ultimately. And then they even came back, and they were like, look, man, just come out for 3 days. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, look, what is my story going to serve? Because at the end of the day, this is how I see it. What do I have going on in my life that is going to benefit them? Because at the end of the day, it's a business, and you guys got to make money, and I get that. So just be upfront with me. What are you looking for out of our story to go out there for 3 days? Because no one's just going to spend all this money for 3 days if you're not going to get something out of those 3 days, as far as our story. Mm-hmm. And they didn't really want to tell me. They were beating around. I said, look, I've been in the game for a while. I get it. Someone's going to surprise us, or something's going to do something that's going to cause an argument. And I said, it's genuinely not worth it. And we're happy. We're like I keep telling you, man, our peace. I think our peace is way more valuable than
so important
than that TV show. So we ended up opting out of it.
I love that. What are you doing to preserve that peace? Other than social media, are there any other things that you're doing? Because it has to be something you're on guard of and aware of, you know, when you're out and about and sharing information about anything, because people do know who you are.
Yeah, I think it's just learning from my past mistakes, and it sounds cliche, and like I said, I had a rough, you know, went through my divorce in 2016, and then from like 2019 to 2021, had a rough go, man. I just made bad decisions relationship-wise, and pretty much I lost my family for about, a lot of people don't know that, I lost my family for about 2 years. Me and Lauren separated for 2 years. We had 2 different houses, so then we went to co-parenting Eli. And it wasn't until I started going to therapy and just figuring out why I made these decisions. And I think that was important. And then it wasn't until I went through a traumatic experience where I really appreciated life. And I was like, hey, man, I got to start making better decisions and better choices. And now that I appreciate life, I'd never take it for granted. Never take it for granted. So every day I wake up, first thing I tell myself, something I'm grateful for, something a blessing. Just maybe it's just, hey, I got to go to the gym today, or I get to take my kids to school today. So I never take it for granted, and that's how I live my day. So usually you're never going to catch me in a bad mood. If some lady was honking at me at the school drop-off line, I'm like, why are you honking?
Damn.
Yeah, so I'm like, it's all right, man. It's genuinely happy. So I think that's what it is, just not taking it for granted.
Not taking it for granted. For me, it's like when someone's honking at me, it's tough. Because you want to get mad.
Yeah.
You want to be like, yo, what the heck are you up to? But they probably had a rough morning.
Yeah.
They got something that's stressing them out to the point where you want to honk at me in the school drop-off line?
At
chill out.
7:45 in the morning, yeah. We're all going to get to where we need to be.
We're all going to get there. How do you feel, so a kind of double-edged question. How do you feel the past experience with that, everything kind of we talked about, you know, your CrossFit endeavors, MTV, your thriving, amazing marriage that you've built, like you said, through past mistakes.
Yeah.
How do you feel all that's led to your current career? Your Air Force,
Yep.
you're a recruiter. Mm-hmm. Again, thank you for your service. My pops, y'all have that in common.
Yeah.
You're in the position, I believe, that he once held for that office, right?
Yep.
You're like two or
still
three
hear
people
all
in between.
The glory stories. They tell me Jeff Foust
He ran the world for a minute.
Trust me, I hear about it. Yeah,
he ran the world. He would be really low key about it, but they'd be sending us, like, I'm 12 years old, right? And they'll just be sending us to resorts and stuff like that for conferences and like on a yearly basis.
Yeah.
And like he'd be like, yeah, like I'm third right now for recruiting. Like, third in what? He's like, you know, third in people brought in. I'm like, for Delaware? He's like, nah, the world.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell?
Don't hear about it. Jeff Foust, he's a staple. He has made his name in recruiting. Yep.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, all of the people still talk about it. The people right there in the office on the other side where you get like the IDs and guest passes. Anytime I come through there, like, oh, Jeff's boy. I'm like, he hasn't been here in over a decade. Yeah. That's crazy.
That's the impact. And that's an amazing impact. To think about it, you know, he hasn't been working in recruiting in over a decade and still made that impact. It's great.
I'll have people hit me up, see my content one way, shape, or form, put 2 and 2 together, be like, oh, your dad recruited me.
Wow.
He put me in the Air Force.
Yeah.
And all over that happens. And just because, you know, we're a small community here in Delaware. But how's that affected your career? And do you feel your name and people knowing who you are a little bit has benefited you in having those real conversations about what someone's going to do with their career?
Yeah. As far as the TV world, I think it's a conversation starter. So I think if you come into my office and you know, hey, I've seen you on TV before, it's a conversation starter. But then when we get down to, I think it's helped me engage and conversate with people. I think I'm able to communicate with people, and then I'm able to build that trust. So I think being on TV for so long and talking to so many different people, that helps me personally on recruiting side. But having this social media platform doesn't help me get any more people, because that's what I tell everybody. Social media, my following is all over the world. It's not, Delaware is very small, and it's a very small community that I can recruit out of. Dude. So that doesn't help me. So it's more so just a conversation starter.
Heard. Dude, that's the same feeling. You're like, oh, you must sell all the homes from TikTok. I'm like, yeah, we definitely sell a lot of homes. Don't get me wrong, from social media, but TikTok's an international platform, and we can only sell people homes in Delaware with 620 or more credit scores. That's the career. I'm a vet myself. I was Army. I started into this conversation before the podcast, but I really want us to talk about it. Is just like, I feel the military world, like just the outlook on the government and what they're up to and how we view our past wars. And I feel like TikTok and other platforms are digging up more and more information.
Yeah.
A lot of information and a lot of dots being connected that I think a lot of people, when decisions were being made before social media, they were hoping we weren't going to eventually connect.
Yeah.
You know, like you can go as recent as what's happening right now, like of Congress people and the Senate and the House of Representatives all having access to things that are allowing them to have their stock portfolios grow higher than the average person, like by 3 and 4x every year. That's not luck. They know what they're doing. Yeah. And that's just one of billions of things you bring. But how has that affected the conversations you're having, the oppositions you have to go up against, or just the type of person that you're recruiting right now into the Air Force?
It definitely has. People are exposed to so much more now. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times when you get these 18 to 24-year-old kids, their biggest thing is, hey, man, are we going to go to war? I don't want to go to war or anything like that. And so I actually just lost somebody who she was, all the stuff kicked off overseas in the Middle East. And she was like, hey, I think I'm just going to wait till it holds off. And I was like, I completely understand, right? It's a big commitment. And I can't tell you you're not going to go over there because it's always a possibility. At the end of the day, this is what we sign up for. So if tomorrow something bad were to happen, that's what we all sign up for. Mm-hmm. So I think them being exposed to more information, kids are smart these days. They'll do their own research. So I really don't listen. These are the facts. You're going to go do your own research at the end of the day, and you're going to make your decision. So I just help answer the questions they have, man. That's really it. That's all I can do, and hope for the best, really.
You ever thought about making content for Air Force recruiting?
I tried.
You tried?
I tried. Yeah. But there's a lot more legalities and
true. Yeah.
And, yeah. So all that stuff, and because one of my bosses came in and she saw my social media and she was like, oh, we're looking for this. And I was like, look, I'm open to it. And then she was getting about the legalities and how they won't take one of their own. And it was just a whole big thing. But I tried it, and it's something I still would like to pursue and see if we can make it happen.
I think you stand in a uniform just answering like basic frequently asked questions on like a TikTok, one of those would pop.
Yeah. Well, I did that one time. I don't know if you saw, and just to show the legality. So I did a Starbucks video. I was outside of Starbucks with gift cards, and I was just, hey, if you answer this question, I would just ask them basic, when you think about the military, what do you think of? And they would answer, and I'd give them, hey, appreciate it, thank you, coffee's on me, whatever. But then PA, they saw the little Starbucks logo, the little queen, and I got my hand slapped for it. And so I was just like, oh my gosh.
Good.
So I had to take it down, and I was like, you know what, stuff like that, I did all this stuff. Yeah, it's just not worth it.
Jeez.
So if they approach me and they want to do it, I'm all in for it. So it's something I'll keep trying for.
I heard. Yeah. So what are the main, are you out recruiting, boots on ground, more people coming into you? How are you finding people?
So Newark is different than Dover. Okay. So I started off here in Dover, and since you're surrounded by a base, people usually just come to the office, they hear about them, they want to join.
Got it.
Newark, it's not like that. You got to go out there, boots on ground, doing the old school, going to high schools, going to all that stuff.
Chin up competitions.
Yeah, really. You're like going to the fair, seeing the Marines doing all these pull-ups, and the Air Force are just sitting at the table. But it's been fun. It's been a challenge for me. I think that's why I like it.
What do y'all do at the high schools?
We're not doing pull-ups. I'll tell you that. I'm not doing pull-ups. 9 times we're just handing out water bottles or just answering. We got a little spin wheel. So, Air Force is good. So we got a little spin wheel.
Different. Air Force
is different. But it was a challenge for me going up there because before I went up there, I think the last person to make gold was good old Ken Bachman. He's another class act, great guy.
Yep.
So like, hey man, it's a tough zone. It's different than Dover. I was like, it's okay. I'll go up there and do my best. And it was a challenge, and I thrived my first year. I'm going on year 2, and I did well. So I'm excited to see if I can outdo the first year. So it's just different up there. Different because you got UD up there. You got all these high school or college kids, and if you're in UD, you got a goal set or a plan set. Hey, this is my next 4 years are at UD. So it's really more so, hey, we're not trying to take you away from that. We're just trying to help you. Mm-hmm. And this is how we're going to help you get there with a little less debt, with a little bit more on your resume. That's really all.
Yeah. What's the pitch right now? What give me your elevator pitch on why someone walking out of UD sophomore year there, maybe trying to get college covered or someone even trying to make a career out of it. What's the best pitch right now?
Well, that's really it. I mean, usually I'm getting a lot of sophomore after the first year. They say, hey, it's expensive. And inflation's only going on. Everything's expensive, man. You can't go get some gum at Wawa without it being expensive. Everything's expensive. We get it. So just take out a little bit less debt for when you do graduate. So start off your professional life with a little less debt. That's kind of how we do it, man. Usually they already know, hey, the military's going to help me pay for tuition. So they come in with a poll, and I just give out the facts. Like I tell you, listen, I'll lie for you before I lie to you. So I give out the facts. Hey, man, this is what you're going to get. If you go to basic training and tech school, this is the amount you're going to get. It'll go towards your college.
What are you getting right now?
Right now, it's roughly off the top of my, right under like 30,000.
Okay.
Some change in there.
As like starting pay?
Well, that's for GI Bill. So you're
okay. Gotcha. GI Bill.
But I mean, ultimately, you're only working 1 week in a month, so starting pay.
Yeah,
it's not gonna pay. It's not gonna buy you a house. But,
no, 100%. Yeah, but to have the 30 grand plus in the GI Bill to get rocking, that's great.
Exactly. Get your foot going.
So you don't have to you GI Bill. So when I got in, I had to wait until I finished my deployment to qualify for the post 9/11 GI Bill. Is that different from the GI Bill you were talking about?
Yeah, so that's a different one. So post 9/11, so you got your GI Bill. Post 9/11 covers 100% of your
correct.
So that's you have to serve like X amount of days.
It was something sequential. It was after my 4th year, and I had a deployment. So you can rock in. But then I had 2 semesters in, I got kicked out. So it's all good.
Why'd you get kicked out?
Man, so
come on, tell me about
answer my question first. We'll go into that. Answer mine first. So again, what are they making right now? So if you have someone that's active, by the way, you're passing them off to active recruiter, or you also
so someone so I do that all the time. They come, hey, it's really just what's best for that person, right? So hey, maybe full-time is what's best for you. If you need money to take care of it, full-time is probably best for you.
What's full-time making these days? You walk in E1, which you can usually get to E3 in a snap.
Quickly. With housing, without housing, I mean, you could Google it. So.
Could we Google it? Air Force pay scale?
Military pay scale,
2023 Air Force pay scale? I always used to look at that thing and think, man, if I was a 3-year general with 30 years, I'd be making bank.
Me too. Man, maybe I should commission to be an officer.
The commission side always made me depressed.
Yeah.
What really made me depressed in the military was deploying to Afghanistan, which was 2012, 2013. So we both had different lives in 2012 getting started. But, oh, man, God, I got to put on my glasses. All right, so we're looking at E3. Let's just go ahead and give him E3. Less than 2 years in. 21.49 a month.
Yep.
Dang, that's nothing.
That's nothing. Yeah.
Damn. So what BAH though in Dover right now at the very least you're getting like
2,200.
Yeah, you're getting a good amount without housing. So okay, so you're walking in without housing close to four grand maybe after tax, 3,800.
Yeah,
that's not awful.
It's not, you started for a young kid. If you're 18, 19, but if you're 30
that's at 40K a year.
Yeah, something like that.
But then look at what the what's a 3-star 07, 08.
Look at those
with 28 years in, is making $16,700 a month without BAH.
That's a nice chunk of change right there.
That's why they don't leave.
Yeah.
Why would you leave? That's why we got people in the military that have been serving for 35 years.
Yeah. I wouldn't leave that either.
Hell yeah. Even if I'm on 04, look, you're a major. You're still making 10 grand a month. And a 28 year in major ain't doing a thing.
Yeah. It's a good life there.
But I will answer your question. I got kicked out of college.
I want to know.
I sucked at college. I really did. College was not my thing. That was like the start of the entrepreneurial journey for me. I was just getting into the soccer league. I had started a soccer league when I got back from deployment because there was no sports to play.
Yeah.
It was all 40 plus or high school. And so we're like, where's the young adult? And we didn't have soccer. I like soccer. So what an open gym turned into a business. But regardless, that was my taste of it. And then I was just getting into the structured education, get your major, get your job world. And it just wasn't clicking for me. So I wasn't doing well in most of my classes. I was getting like C's and B's, nothing crazy. But there was this one class in my second semester. It was English. Now, those types of classes are the ones I struggled with. We had a marketing class because my major was going to be in business administration.
Okay.
But of course, in your first couple semesters, I had to go study rocks. I had to learn about the history of France. I had to do all this stuff. I'm like, man, what was high school for? I thought I learned all this stuff. And now I got to learn about more rocks to be a business major. This is crazy. And so that was making me just hate it. English was the worst, though, because I was good at English. It's actually the language I've spoken since I started talking. I was already pretty good at the grammar thing and dissecting sentences. And there was me and this teacher just didn't get along. And there was a quiz that we got that we had to grade ourselves. We filled it out, and then we swapped papers. And then, she went through the answers. And it was like halfway through that she heard an answer, said, nah, that's wrong. It's this. And she was wrong. She was 100% wrong. As a 20-year-old, I probably shouldn't have been as much of an arrogant asshole about it by bringing it up in class. But the moment she said it, I was like, nah, it's actually this. She just said, and now in her defense, she'd said, no, it's not. She probably should have looked at me and said, what makes you think that? And it probably wouldn't have gotten into an argument.
Yeah.
But it did. And she's like, how dare you tell me I'm wrong in my class? And type deal like that. And I'm like, come on. Like,
so did you respond?
Yeah.
We went asshole
yeah,
response?
yeah. Well, I mean, my response pretty much was, you're a teacher at a community college teaching at 6 p.m. at night. Like, you can be wrong.
Yeah.
And in this case, you're wrong. And she was. She called security on me. I never left my seat. I was being rude verbally. I wasn't being aggressive or threatening or anything like that. And so she called security, and the guy that came up for security actually was in the same unit as me, Army-wise. And so he looked at me and said, Foust? And I was like, yeah, what's Alan Richards? And we just walked down, and he's like, what happened? And I was like,
she was wrong.
Yeah, she was wrong, and I just wanted to tell her she was wrong, and she didn't want to be told she was wrong. But then I had a meeting. The next day I got called in a couple days later for my student advisor counselor deal, and they're like, yeah, I mean, you could transfer over to Del Tech. You can use all your credits and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, I just don't think college is going to work for me.
Yeah.
And I just stopped.
And that's okay. College ain't
it
for
gave me
everybody.
more time for the soccer league. We expanded it. I learned a lot about, you spend money to make money, and was able to, make, I think $80,000 on the third year of the soccer league before we sold it. I mean, but we spent 72 in expenses, so we didn't make anything. But I learned that, and it was a great predecessor to getting into real estate. And ultimately, I would have probably pushed through the suck of college if there wasn't a direct reason to not go. So I look back and I'm grateful for that. I again wish I probably treated it differently, but if I didn't have that direct boom, hey, this is it right here, I probably would have kept pushing through. So I'm grateful for it at the end of the day. Never seen that teacher again in my life. I'm still connected with a couple though.
There you go.
One, she was the only business class I had was a 101 in marketing. Love that class. It was great. It was creative. It was a creative campaign. How do we sell this product? Real life, what I'm trying to learn.
Yeah.
And loved it. It was great. And one of the first reasons, Sharmina Ellis, Professor Sharmina Ellis, got me into the mode of oh, I like marketing. This is great. I really like this.
That's awesome. She made an impact on you.
She made a huge impact.
That's great.
So I see it as a blessing. I served just as much time there as I needed. And then like you learn from mistakes. It puts you in a path on life, and you can either wallow on it and be pissy, or you can just brush yourself off and walk down the path. It's your only option now.
That is.
There'll be other forks in the road later that you can make a better choice on. And I think too many people wallow. And what they don't realize is the reality they're creating and experiencing is only happening between their ears. It's only happening behind their eyes. No one else sees it. Yeah, no one else sees it. No one else feels it. No one else even realizes it's going on. You're creating this painful universe within your own mind and doing it purposefully, whether you believe it or not. And I think going back to how we're raised, there's so many things up until 18 that we don't have the choice over. Yeah. We're told what school we're going to be in by our parents, where we're living. Our friends are probably kids of our parents' friends or from school, especially in our age, without social media. You're coming up and you're basically formed and molded as a human without your call, as best as they can. Mm-hmm. We're all parents and doing the best we can. But then you find out my brain's been thinking this way the whole time, and maybe I shouldn't be.
Yeah. Then you got to unteach yourself, really what you've been taught the last 18 years, yeah.
Have you done any of that? You said, you talk to a counselor, which I love, therapists, counseling, whether it's therapy for yourself or just having a weekly time where you talk with a friend and just let it all out. We can't sit with all this shit in us. Okay. How long have you been doing that?
I've been in there for about 2 years now.
Hell yeah. Has it been beneficial?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just certain things where I didn't even realize, or my upbringing, my childhood, where I was I never thought that would make an impact.
One of the first things at the time I had a counselor a good 3 years ago, one of the first things they had brought up was childhood and stuff like that. And I was like, I don't really have a ton of, I was going through it, and then they were asking about middle school. I was like, I don't have a ton of memories of middle school. And they're like, okay, what happened? I was like, well, no, I don't really have too many. And they're like, nah, there's a reason for that. And like dug into that. And like when I dug into that, I was like, oh, like 8th through 10th grade were the 3 worst years of my life. Like, and it's defining how I'm acting today. And it's creating my insecurities and my lack of self-worth and my imposter syndrome that I'm suffering from today.
Yeah.
Because I don't know about you. And we're experiencing different levels of being known for stuff. I'll get approached and, you know, hey, you're the guy on TikTok. And that's great. But when that started, I had so much imposter syndrome.
Really?
So much of just, I don't deserve this. Why do I have 1 million followers? I'm just telling people what I did in my life. I'm telling stories, and then I'm in real estate, and I worked in a prison for a year. Like, what's going on? Did you ever feel that way? That you're just like, why is this happening to me? Or suffer from that like inward, I mean, I went through a depression over it. It's just like, yeah, it's just like, and then for me too, especially on social media, the constant pressure to perform. Like everyone wants to go viral, but no one wants to have to make the second viral video, right? You do it once. Now everyone's seen you can do it. Now you've seen you can do it. Now that's the new standard if you let it be.
There you go.
And every time you don't hit it, it hurts more and more if you make that be the metric you follow.
So do you feel the expectation from outsiders that's weighing in on you?
At the time, it was, when I burrowed down through it, it was the pressure I was putting on me. Because like we just said, you create the universe that's going on between your head. Yeah. No one was telling me, you need to make another viral video. You got to do. And even if I did, it wasn't bringing, like we said, it's an international, national platform. Like it wasn't even bringing a ton of business unless it was actually really niched down and only got like 300 views. Yeah. But they're from people from Delaware that actually care about the issue. And that is creating clients and building the business. But this pressure to perform, I was putting it on myself. Yeah. And it was a vanity metric. It wasn't an equity metric. And I had to come to grips with that I was making decisions for my own ego. And I had to come to grips with that was because of X that happened in the past and Y that's defined me. And Z, this is how my brain works. Yeah. We got to reprogram.
Interesting. Yeah, I think for me it was more, not so much that of needing to perform on social media. I think it was, I became a dad at such a young age where what's that like? What the pressure has to be insane. Yeah, I mean, watching these people essentially raise your child and go through your personal life all on TV. It was a lot. I wanted to make sure, every parent says, I wanted to give you more than what we had or raise you differently than what I had. So it wasn't until I went into therapy where I learned a lot of things about my relationship with my dad where I didn't think were an issue. And I was like, it's the kind of same thing. She's like, oh, well, tell me about this. I'm like, well, I don't really remember it. I don't really have any memories of it. So, for example, it was like coaching Lincoln's team. I always wanted to be, hey, I want to coach his team. I thought that was what I needed to do. I want to be there. I want to show him there. But I learned that it really put a hinder on our relationship because I was so hard on him and expected so much of him at even the early ages. Even now as a 10-year-old, I put so much pressure on him where it took the joy. You could see the joy just being sucked out of it. Like he would make a mistake and he would instantly look at me and look at me because he's either expecting me to yell at him or just, and I felt that pressure. And so it wasn't until therapy and Lauren was just like, you know what, let me not coach. Let me just enjoy it. There's no expectations. He's 10 years old. So even yesterday, and I still get caught up sometimes. Even yesterday, basketball, the expectations there. He's talented, and I try and tell him, "You're so good, man. You just gotta bottle it up and go to work." And so I just approach it differently now. So instead of me coaching and yelling on the spot, I was angry yesterday. So for example, last night he had a game, and I was pretty mad at some stuff. So and Lauren talked me down. She was like, "You know what? It's your tone. How you're gonna approach him it's gonna make him understand or just hate basketball." So we got home and I asked him how the game went, and he told me. And you could see him getting upset already. I think he felt like I was gonna come down on him. Hey, you did wrong. And so I just told him, hey, look, this is what you can do differently. This is what I saw from the outside. Next game, just focus on that, and it really changes everything, just the tone and our relationship. So I think just the pressure of just having a better relationship than I did with my father. And I love my dad. My dad's great. He's still in my life to this day. But I want to make sure we build a bond differently. So I think that's it.
And that's what therapy ultimately brought out
Oh
and
my gosh,
realized for you.
Yeah, shout out to my therapist. She's great. I love her.
Is she local or online?
Yeah. She's over in Dover. Shout out to good old Janet. She's been a rock star. Yep.
Hell yeah. Well, if anyone DMs me, hey, I want to talk to Janet in Dover, I'm gonna reach out for the phone number.
Yes, I got you.
What's well, man, we've covered quite a few topics. What's the advice you'd give to somebody that has a little bit of limelight? You know, I wouldn't classify either one of us as grade A celebrities or any shit like that.
Yeah,
I mean,
we
like,
never.
This is a double Z celebrity.
triple. Yeah.
But like, what would you suggest? Because like you said you're at peace with it, and I feel very similarly in terms of the pressure I put on myself. I'm very at peace with the amount of pressure I put on myself because I feel it's sustainable.
There you go. Yeah.
You know, it's sustainable. I could put more. I could do more. Absolutely. But I think where I'm at is sustainable.
I love that.
And it keeps my mind
Yeah.
set. So, what's the advice you'd give to somebody to be able to put themselves at peace with, there could be more here, but I'm happy with what I have?
I think you first have to figure out who you are as a person. You need to figure out who you want to be, how you want to act, how you want to be seen as other people, how you want to be treated, and how you expect to be treated. I think once you figure that out, then you can be at peace. Once you figure that out, then life starts to slow down where, hey, I know where I'm at. So kind of like when the TV thing, hey, I know where I'm at in my life. And if that doesn't align with where I am and my family's at, then you're not going to disrupt that. So I think once you figure out who you are, there's really nothing that could derail that train. You and your family are on a fast track to your goals, and yeah, you're gonna have some turns in there, but you're still all in it together. So I think that's over the years. That's what I've learned for myself is I needed to learn who I was. I'm telling you, man, when you watch Teen Mom on Netflix, there were some bad years in there.
Man.
Well, there's some bad years in there, man. Just my divorce, the way I treated Lauren, even my relationship now. I thank God we were able to find our way back to each other. And
are there any good clips, funny clips that we could pull up? Like anything comes to memory of like, oh yeah, I remember that.
Jeez.
Give YouTube a test and see if it's got it.
I was a couple memes there and there. So
yeah?
Sure. Yeah, I think so.
Could we just type in your name and then meme and just see what comes up?
We'll see. Oh my gosh. We'll see what comes up.
I had my opportunity to be on Netflix and I turned it down as well.
Did you?
Yeah. And it was right around that time where I was making that choice of who I was going to be.
See, yeah.
It was I say that it was about 2 years into that decision, but it was a test. It was a test.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds good. It feels good.
It felt great.
Yeah. It's hard to say no.
It is hard. It was the I don't know. It's out now, so I think I am allowed to say it. It was Look at this guy.
Yeah.
Is that you with like the Office background?
Actually. I don't know what background that is, but yeah. So yeah, coming back from my deployment.
There he is. Good Lord.
2016. Look at those sideburns. Scroll up a little bit. Let me see those sideburns. Look at those bad boys.
Those things are tight.
Skinny sideburns were in back then.
Those things are defined as hell. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Oh man.
Giving that look.
Yeah.
Ooh. The chain is crazy.
Chains, yeah. Oh man.
Teen Mom 2.
Yeah, so you'll
is that you right there, the beanie?
Me, yeah.
And the dumbbells in the back looking crazy. What was this? Season 2?
No, this was a little spinoff they did, a Being Javi spinoff. They followed my journey. I wanted to do this real big CrossFit competition, so they pretty much followed the training and the preparation for it.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was fun. That was 2016, 17 as well.
How'd that pan out?
I didn't make it.
Damn.
Yeah, I didn't make it.
Is that the one they do like the big one where it's like 100 people?
No, it wasn't that. I definitely won't make that one.
The Reebok one, yeah.
Yeah.
I watched that. Thing's crazy.
Yeah, those guys are insane, and girls.
They're flipping tires and doing 75 burpees and I mean exercise to exercise and then
nice young pup. Yep.
Do we got audio?
Oh, there's Lincoln. Yep.
I think on the soundboard, the little USB one. Oh, check if the audio on the computer is set to Rodecaster. Look at you, man.
My privacy because you're insecure. I'm not going to do that.
Because you're texting all these dudes random behind my back.
You can have my phone.
It's crazy
behind your back.
Yeah,
okay, no.
And
when I got deployed, our relationship really started to crumble. I want to be in this marriage. I want all of us to be together. And I just feel like she's just kind of throwing this out there, and it hurts.
I wanted to work things out, but Kale didn't feel the same way.
I didn't know at the time that you're sleeping with all these dudes.
At the end of the day, I don't want to be with you. We're getting divorced, period, point blank.
It's been over a year since I came home, and I'm still trying to let it go.
She's over here living the life, and you're over here crying. Don't.
That's intense, man.
That is intense.
You're gonna get suckered in. Listen,
the way they frame things. It's just
like 10 seasons. You got to block out a whole weekend for it so you can catch up to all 10.
I'm be texting you. Yeah, so it just came out for mine, but last year, it was last October, I got hit up to be on the Squid Game show that just came out on Netflix. Yeah. And they were going to add me. I'm going to talk about it now because it shows I don't give a damn. They were going to add me to the preferred list. It was rigged for the most part. And it actually like came out during the shooting. There were a couple articles. You can look it up from that came out like in March of this year of competitors that got eliminated early going to different news presses and being like, I was literally brought here to be here for a day and a half and leave.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I did a different show, Marriage Boot Camp. That was on WeTV. So seeing the two different networks and how they operate, and that was like a 24/7. There was cameras in our bedroom and like cameras all over the house, cameras in the grass.
How was that? Cameras in the grass?
The microphones in the grass. So you couldn't have any private conversations in this house. So they locked us in this house.
So you'd have to leave the property. Oh, you couldn't leave the property?
We couldn't leave the property.
How long is this?
This was 14 days, 13 days, something like that. We were in a house in L.A. and it was trying to rekindle the marriage and see if we can make it work. So it was intense, right? Obviously, things are boiling. You got no phones. You just got each other, and you're in this house.
How much, any prompting with that, or is it truly just 14, 15 days and just you two?
At first, it was just, hey, let's just see how everybody does. So we were in with 4 other couples. So it's the same concept. They were in a rough spot, and there's
so a little kind of Big Brother-ish type. Okay,
yeah. But then as it went on, they were like, hey, nothing's going on. Like, we got to make a TV show at the end of the day.
Sure.
So, and then that's when it started turning, and all the dramatic effects and throwing cell phones at the wall, stuff like that.
And that's the last time you got involved in it?
And then T-Mom went on and kept going. So that was I did that show when I came back from my deployment. So that was 2017.
And that was to Qatar?
Yes, I was deployed in Qatar, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, the Squid Games ones, I get it because it's a huge commitment. Mm-hmm. And I told a few people that I said no to it, and they're like, oh, that's dumb. But I'm like, I'm really cool with being the team leader of a great team in Delaware and being the best team by the end of 2025. And like, there are stages and shows that are going to be still there when I'm 35 and 40 and 45. And that's if I want to, but I'm really cool with this.
I love it, man.
Because that was going to be 30 days, no phone, no connection to anything. Yeah. You're on the show. You're doing nothing else. Like, I can't put a damper on the company to go fucking play some obstacle course. Like, that sounds fun. You asked me when I was 21. Yeah. I'm there. But I feel you in that regard of being at peace. And it is a hard choice because there are pros.
Gosh, it's so hard.
There's pros.
Yeah, I went back to Lauren all the time. I was like, hey, are you sure? Yeah. I mean, it's 3 days. They're saying 3 days.
And who knows? You could have a clip that goes viral off that. Yeah. Your socials go crazy, and now you're getting all these promo deals and brand deals. There's always the pros to the opportunity. But with reality, like you said, you've played the game.
Yeah, I know. I knew something's coming. Listen, you're not just bringing me out there for 3 days for nothing.
Yeah, just to say, hey.
It is hard, though. Good for you, though, of knowing who you are and
I'm still
that's
learning.
why you're the leader you are, man. That's why you've built this great company, and good for you.
That's all I appreciate the kind words, man. You too, man. Well, hey, I appreciate you. Thanks for coming through.
Zach, I appreciate you, man. Tell Big Pops to say hello, man.
Absolutely. That's a must. That's a must. And big ups to Sean, too.
Big ups to Sean. This whole setup is insane.
Running between the cameras. Yeah. We were supposed to have this as a digital setup by now, but now it's still running back and forth, Sean. And you wouldn't even know. So appreciate you, bro.
Appreciate you, man.